Horror story. The evil curse of the haunted red high heels.
Khue, a lonely and lost young woman, unwittingly embarks on a mysterious adventure after purchasing a pair of red shoes from a strange antique shop. The shoes not only take her to beautiful and serene places but also lead her to eerie, desolate, and haunted locations. From an abandoned, mysterious house to an old cemetery bathed in moonlight, are Khue's terrifying experiences her destiny?
The Horrifying Red High Heels Chap 1. In a small town in a remote countryside, the autumn sky was shrouded in a misty atmosphere, with stretches of gray clouds and the warm golden rays of the afternoon gradually turning to a gloomy gray, creating a dreamy yet captivating scene. The old buildings, with their muted paint tones, stood out against the melancholic natural backdrop of autumn. The rows of red and yellow trees along the roadside created a harmonious scene, while also adding diversity with the colors of each leaf, from fiery orange to gentle yellow. The sound of footsteps echoed on the deserted streets, creating the gentle music of a slow-paced life. In a small alley of the town, where the scattered lights barely illuminated, there was an old thrift shop filled with ancient items holding many mysteries. The old items, from old paintings and worn silk handbags to old shoes, were neatly arranged on shelves and racks, creating a strange and mysterious image. People often said that if you were destined, you could find everything here, from unique ancient paintings to pieces from the past. Among the passers-by, a young woman named Khue stepped into the shop. With her brown hair flowing and a cold gaze, at first glance, she did not seem like someone who easily believed in the supernatural. But boredom and loneliness had led her here, where she might find something special. Something that could change her life forever. Amid the cold and nostalgic atmosphere of the shop, Khue suddenly noticed a pair of high heels on a small shelf in a dark corner. The red high heels shone like a flame in the dark, capturing Khue's attention at first glance. The high heels were made from a soft leather-like material, though it seemed unlike any ordinary leather. The pointed toes and high-quality craftsmanship gave them a noble and charming look. Every curve and edge was meticulously designed, creating a perfect and nostalgic beauty. The shop owner, Mr. Tan, an old man with silvery hair, noticed Khue's curious gaze and approached her. "Those high heels are very special, young lady," Mr. Tan said with a hint of mystery in his voice. "They are said to have the ability to take you to where your heart truly desires." Khue couldn't believe what she was hearing. Really? But how can a pair of high heels do that? Mr. Tan just smiled gently, his eyes looking distant. "If you want to know, you should own them. But be careful, because they can also bring along unwanted things." Khue felt like she was dreaming as she left the shop with the strange red high heels in her hands. The rain had stopped, but the cold still lingered as she stepped out. It seemed like time had stopped, and the surroundings became peaceful and quiet. Khue's heart pounded, filled with both excitement and apprehension. When Khue got home, she couldn't contain her curiosity and tried on the new high heels right away. Instantly, she realized something magical. The high heels fit perfectly, not only making her feel confident and beautiful but also seemingly guiding her to places she had never imagined. With the red high heels on, Khue felt a mysterious urge from deep within, like an invisible force leading her onward. Every step she took, every movement of her body was stimulated by the strange allure of the high heels. It felt as though a voice hidden within the soft layers of leather was telling Khue about a new world, an adventure she had never experienced. She felt the excitement and thrill spreading from head to toe, as if it was a direct path to new and exciting experiences. At first, the red high heels led Khue to truly beautiful and peaceful places. The first was a small winding path through a lush green forest, where sunlight filtered through the thick canopy, creating beautiful natural paintings. The fresh and dreamy atmosphere brought a sense of peace and tranquility, making each step Khue took feel light and happy. Next, the high heels led Khue to a clear blue lake, where the water's surface reflected the shimmering sunlight, creating a picturesque image. The serene and relaxing feeling filled the space, making Khue feel as if she was immersed in a dreamy and beautiful world. Then, the red high heels led Khue to a blooming flower garden, where the vibrant colors created a wonderful painting of hues and fragrances. The sense of happiness and satisfaction spread within Khue as she admired the beautiful and fresh flowers. The beautiful places the high heels led Khue to were not only spaces of relaxation and enjoyment, but also places where she had the opportunity to connect with nature and find peace within herself. However, the red high heels didn't just lead Khue to beautiful places. They also took her to frightening and haunting locations. The horrifying places the high heels led Khue to were not only filled with fear and terror, but also held secrets and challenges. The first place the high heels led Khue to was an eerie abandoned house on the outskirts of town. The house seemed to symbolize coldness and desolation, with shuttered windows and a roof on the verge of collapse. Khue's footsteps echoed on the old wooden planks, creating a resonant sound in the silence of the darkness. Inside the house, Khue discovered a series of paintings and photographs hanging on the walls. Among them was a photo of a woman standing in a blooming garden, wearing a pair of bright red high heels that looked very similar to the ones Khue was wearing. Next, the high heels led Khue to a deep, wild forest where the trees were vast and dark, like a prophecy of a dark world. The sounds of wild animals echoed from afar, creating a gloomy and mysterious atmosphere. Khue felt as if she was stepping into a world full of risks and dangers. Finally, the red high heels led Khue to an old cemetery where ancient tombstones lay quietly under the blue moonlight. There was no sound except for the chilling wind whistling through the grass. Khue felt the cold and despair emanating from each gravestone, like ghosts waiting to rise from their slumber. Khue found herself standing before a mysterious mirror that did not reflect her image but that of a woman in white. The same woman Khue had seen in the photos in the abandoned house. The scene within the mirror became more vivid, and the woman seemed to be calling Khue's name, as if trying to convey something important. Suddenly, a fierce-looking man appeared behind the woman, glaring at Khue and shaking his head repeatedly. The Horrifying Red High Heels Chap 2. A sense of unease and worry spread through Khue's mind, like ghosts lurking behind every dark corner of each street, every nook of the abandoned house, and every shadow in the deep forest. Khue knew she shouldn't stay here too long, but with the high heels on her feet, she couldn't act according to her will. In a fleeting thought, she hurriedly took off the high heels and tossed them on the ground. She ran barefoot home, following the path the high heels had led her on. Khue couldn't understand why the red high heels had taken her to such frightening places, and she felt as if she was trapped in a nightmare with no escape. Every cold gust of wind made her body shiver, and every echoing sound in the gloomy space terrified her to the core. Arriving home under the high moon, Khue screamed when she saw the red high heels neatly placed on the shelf. Fearful, she kept her distance from them and ran into her bedroom, locking the door tightly. She lay on her bed, covering herself completely with the blanket. In her unease, she fell asleep without realizing it. In her dream, Khue found herself standing before a mysterious mirror that did not reflect her image but that of a woman in white. The same woman Khue had seen in the photos in the abandoned house. The scene within the mirror became more vivid, and the woman seemed to be calling Khue's name, as if trying to convey something important. Suddenly, a fierce-looking man appeared behind the woman, glaring at Khue and shaking his head repeatedly. Khue woke up with lingering fear but also felt something had changed. In those dreams, she realized that fear wasn't the only thing the red high heels brought her. There was also mystery and exciting discovery, and perhaps a deep connection waiting to be explored. Drawn by the mysterious allure of the red high heels, Khue decided to delve deeper into the journey to learn about the strange woman in the abandoned house and the mysterious man. Through conversations with the locals and old records at the local library, Khue gathered more information about the woman. She learned that the woman's name was Lan, and she was the owner of the abandoned house. Lan had lived a reclusive, mysterious life and had vanished under unexplained circumstances. The man in Khue's dream was her husband, Min, who was rumored to have a deep connection with the supernatural and was directly involved in his wife's disappearance. To understand these events better, Khue decided to explore the abandoned house once more. She quickly prepared the necessary equipment, such as a flashlight, a dagger, a mobile phone, and a small first aid kit. When the sun was at its peak, Khue entered the abandoned house. She saw sunlight filtering through the old windows and the gaps in the collapsed walls, creating strange patterns of light and shadow inside. Khue explored every corner, every nearly ruined old room, searching for more clues about the woman in the red high heels. Then, during a thorough search, she found an old diary covered in dust and cobwebs, hidden carefully in a dark corner of a drawer. When Khue opened the diary, she was greeted by yellowed pages, with faded ink still clear enough to take her on a journey through time and space. The first pages revealed old stories, memories of beautiful and meaningful moments, thoughts, feelings, and experiences of the wife when her family was still happy and peaceful. The words on the pages evoked memories of love and hope, but also contained anxiety and suspicion. Khue read each line, feeling more shocked and surprised by what the wife had recorded. In the diary, the wife wrote about her husband's strange behavior, the changes in his mood and actions, and the bizarre events occurring around them. She described her fear and unease and her feelings as she watched her husband become increasingly distant and cruel. Diary, April 12, 1970. Today, when I looked into his eyes, I I saw an astonishing change. It was no longer the warm, loving gaze I once knew. He often leaves the house without saying a word, returns late, and doesn't even answer my questions. I feel like a stranger in this home, constantly wondering if this man is still the loving husband I once knew. Strange books and peculiar symbols have appeared everywhere in the house. He spends more time in his private room, focused on ancient books and performing mysterious rituals I cannot understand. I feel worried and confused by this immense change in him. It's been so long since he smiled, and happiness seems to have left us since he began practicing dark magic. Diary, May 24th, 1970. Today, as I cleaned our bedroom, I saw the red high heels he gave me in a corner of the shoe cabinet. Sunlight shone on the high heels, making the red glow, and I couldn't help but remember the happy moments when we first started dating. But today, when I took the high heels out of the box, I discovered something strange behind them. Under the sole of the high heels, there was a carefully folded piece of paper, but it wasn't a love letter or a congratulatory note. Instead, it was a paper filled with strange handwriting and a series of ancient symbols and characters. And above all, this handwriting belonged to my husband. I felt a chill as I read these lines. This wasn't the language someone would use to convey something happy or joyful. It was full of mystery and darkness, like a curse. I don't know how long ago he wrote this, but it was enough to make me feel scared and worried about the secrets he might be hiding in his heart. I dare not tell him about this, but I know I need to do something to uncover the truth behind the high heels he gave me. Diary, June 30th, 1970. Today, I can't keep the secret any longer. I must write down what has happened, so no one else has to endure the terror I am going through. After discovering the strange paper under the sole of the red high heels, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I started investigating the strange marks and signs around the house. Eventually, I found an ancient book filled with dark secrets hidden in a drawer. The woman continued, "Those are also the places where my body was divided into 6 parts, each hidden in a different location." Khue was shocked and scared, unable to believe what she had just heard. You must be joking, right? Khue, I was murdered by the person I loved most. He wanted me to never exist again. Wanted me to be buried forever. The Horrifying Red High Heels, Chapter 3. The first page of the book described a terrifying, evil curse tied to the red high heels. This curse was linked to an ancient legend about an evil witch and her enchanted high heels. The owner of these high heels would be bound by the curse, forced to serve the witch and sell their soul to her to become immortal. I couldn't believe what I was reading. The red high heels he gave me were not just a gift, but a horrific curse threatening our lives. I couldn't stop thinking about the possible consequences if we didn't do something to resolve this issue. I felt scared and confused, but also determined to face and solve this problem. I couldn't let this curse continue to harm our lives. We turned to the next page, but the diary ended there, and the following pages were stained with blood. She stared at the dark red stains on the yellowed pages, her heart pounding. Khue seemed to understand what had happened to the wife, feeling utterly confused and worried. Could the evil curse be related to this tragedy? The tension and mystery surrounding the final pages of the diary pushed Khue into a state of curiosity and fear. Khue closed the diary and stood up, clutching it tightly. When she raised her head, the space around her suddenly turned pitch black, and then the woman in the red high heels from the photos appeared before Khue. She was wearing a white dress, her face pale, and her lips blood red. Who are you? Why are you here? Although Khue had a vague guess about the woman's identity, she wanted her to confirm it. The woman looked at Khue with sorrowful eyes but maintained a calm demeanor. "I am Lan, Min's wife. I've been trapped in this curse for so long. Only you can free me and yourself. You must face and break this curse. Otherwise, you will end up like me." Khue felt her heart race, but she knew she couldn't refuse. I will free you. But how?" The woman smiled gently, but her eyes still held an indescribable pressure. "To break the curse of the red high heels, we need to return to the place where the curse was created, where the curse began." "Do you know where that is?" Khue asked, her eyes full of determination and curiosity. The woman's eyes suddenly filled with sadness, and she looked into the distance. Her voice choked. "There are 6 places. Those are the places the red high heels led you to when you wore them. Do you still remember?" The woman continued, "Those are also the places where my body was divided into 6 parts, each hidden in a different location." Khue was shocked and scared, unable to believe what she had just heard. You must be joking, right?" "No, this was not a joke." The woman continued to recount the horror and pain of being killed by her husband. "Khue, I was murdered by the person I loved most. He wanted me to never exist again. Wanted me to be buried forever." The woman said, her voice full of pain and resentment. But I am still here, unable to rest until this curse is broken. Khue listened to this tragic story with horror and sorrow. She realized that her mission was not only to free the wife from the curse but also to bring justice to her tragic death. I will help you. But can you tell me why he divided your body into 6 parts and hid them in 6 places? And how can I break this curse? The woman quickly replied, according to my husband's ancient book, the number 6 is often associated with the mysterious and demonic, representing the completion and perfection of the curse. To maintain the curse, the body of the sacrificed person must be divided into 6 parts, each hidden in a different place. By doing so, the curse keeper can control and sustain its dreadful power while connecting with demonic or supernatural entities, enhancing the curse's strength. To break this evil curse, you need to find and collect my 6 body parts. Then, gather them together, forming a complete body and cremating it along with the red high heels. This way, the 6 pillars holding the curse and its vessel, the high heels, will no longer exist, and the curse will be broken. Khue understood the importance of finding and collecting the woman's 6 body parts to free her soul and break the curse. Immediately, Khue embarked on this mission with determination and patience. She revisited the places the high heels had led her to, and with the woman's guidance, Khue found the body parts, now just bones buried deep in the ground. After finding all 6 body parts, Khue brought them back to the abandoned house. This was a quiet place where no one would notice or interfere with what Khue was doing. She arranged the bones neatly in the right position, placed the red high heels beside them, then poured gasoline and set them on fire. The flames rose, consuming the bones and the red high heels within a few hours. When it was over, Khue saw that it was already dusk. Thank you, Khue. The faint silhouette of the woman appeared from the darkness, smiling gently and relieved. I don't know how long I've been in the dark, but finally, it's over. I am freed. Khue approached a gradually fading woman, feeling a bit emotional at the wife's gratitude. It was not an easy journey, but I am very glad that we finally overcame all the challenges. The most important thing is that you are free and your soul can rest now. Now that everything is over, I hope we can start a new chapter full of hope and happiness. Of course, I've waited so long. I will be happy, very happy. The woman suddenly burst into a strange, high-pitched laugh in the darkness, sending a chill down Khue's spine. Khue stepped back, but she suddenly realized that she couldn't move. This made her extremely panicked.
By chance, Khue stumbles upon a blood-stained journal detailing a sinister curse linked to the red shoes she now possesses. Her journey begins when she encounters the spirit of Lan, an ill-fated wife who was murdered and whose body was gruesomely divided into 6 parts, hidden in various places. To free Lan's soul and break the curse, Khue must find all 6 body parts and destroy them along with the cursed shoes. But will everything truly end when the flames rise?
The Horrifying Red High Heels Chap 4. At that moment, Khue heard slow footsteps approaching. She looked up and saw that the man coming toward her was none other than Mr. Tan, the owner of the antique shop on the street. What is happening? Why can't I move? Khue gasped, the fear overwhelming her like a rising tide. What's going on? And why are you here? Mr. Tan did not answer Khue. He walked to the woman, raising his hand to touch her, but since she was still just a spirit, his hand went right through her. The man smiled gently. Very soon, you will have a new life. A new identity. Once the sacrificial ritual is complete, the woman quickly responded, yes, thanks to you for finding me such a perfect and fitting body, she added, and this vessel is not only youthful but also very kind and naive. You, what are you talking about? Khue screamed in panic. The woman moved closer to Khue, smiling slyly, her voice eager as she recounted a story entirely different from what Khue had been told. What you heard and read were all lies. In truth, I am the one who practiced dark magic. I wanted immortality, eternal youth, to forever maintain my beauty. To achieve this, I had to sacrifice the person I loved most. Guess who that is? The woman looked at Mr. Tan and answered herself, my husband Min. For a long time, I hesitated and procrastinated. Of course, I didn't want to lose the one I loved the most. But then, one fine day, when I saw the wrinkles at the corners of my eyes in the mirror, I knew I couldn't delay any longer. It was at this moment that my husband discovered what I was doing and my intentions. The shock and despair in his eyes were evident. I couldn't avoid the disappointment and hurt when all my secrets were revealed. The woman sighed. I told him about my journey, about seeking strength to protect our family, but in the end, falling into the dark path of black magic and suffering. The deception and temptation of power led me down a path of no return. And Mr. Tan, whom I trusted and loved, became my companion in the quest for power. But my husband didn't understand what I explained. Or perhaps he didn't want to understand. He took my life without a word of explanation, without giving me a chance to apologize or try to make amends. He even divided my body into 6 parts, hiding them in 6 places so no one could resurrect me. The woman showed a look of sorrow, but fortunately, Ten escaped and carried with him the red high heels and the notes. The ancient book I had painstakingly researched for decades. And now, thanks to him and this sacrificial ritual, I will live again. And thanks to you too, Khue. Your kindness is the key to this story. Perhaps my husband never imagined that the vessel I chose could free my soul with her own hands. By now, Khue understood everything, but it was probably too late. It turned out the fierce man in the mirror she had seen, who had constantly shaken his head, was the husband of this insane woman. He had likely tried to stop her, but she had not understood his intentions. Khue felt a profound sense of pain and despair as she realized she had fallen into a cruel trap set by the wife and her accomplice. Mr. Tan, with an ancient book in hand, took a strand of Khue's hair and threw it into the ashes of the bones and the red high heels. At this moment, Khue realized that somehow, the red high heels were still intact. He recited a series of incantations that Khue couldn't understand, and she felt her body tremble. Then her consciousness faded into darkness. She didn't know how much time had passed when she opened her eyes and found herself in the antique shop. She looked around and saw herself sitting next to the shop owner, with a sharp smile on her lips. She was now dressed more femininely and classically. Instantly, Khue knew that the woman practicing dark magic had taken over her body. Khue looked into the mirror, painfully realizing she was now trapped in the red high heels, reduced to an inanimate object. "Look at this," Mr. Tan said in a deep, hoarse voice. "Perhaps we should find a vessel for me, as this old body standing next to you is not suitable." The woman laughed, gently patting his hand and saying, "All right, we'll find you a fitting young vessel." At that moment, the doorbell rang, and both of them looked over. A young male customer walked in, approaching the woman and speaking worriedly. "Finally, I found you, Khue. Where have you been these past days? I visited your house several times but never saw you." The woman stood up, walked toward him, then looked at Mr. Tan with a sinister smile. "What do you think of this vessel?" Mr. Tan grinned maliciously, clearly pleased with the choice. Khue, trapped inside the red high heels, witnessed everything in despair. She screamed for the young man to run away, but of course, as a pair of high heels on a shelf, no one could hear her cries. In the endless, dark abyss, Khue felt a deep sense of loneliness and helplessness.